Uh, Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Can everyone hear me loud and clear? Is my voice audible? Is my voice audible? Please let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Okay. So I'm just gonna get right into it. This is actually a very impromptu session. I just pretty much said it's time to jump on here and start something, virtually. Let's just call this Build with Pandora. My name is Kehinde Ruth Onaoga, and I presently serve as the principal consultant at Pandora Global Agency Limited, a marketing and creative agency based out of Lagos, Nigeria. And what we pretty much do is marketing in different facets, really, for corporate organizations, for small businesses, for individuals, through our perception building services, also known as personal branding. Um, Again, so it's just this preliminary introduction as to what's this over maybe 30 minutes um, build with Pandora sessions will be all about. It's one where I want to see where we can actually create a community of people in terms of sharing our knowledge as an agency, as opposed to the generic way of sharing it there. Maybe some of our case studies. We can talk about the case studies. We can also talk about how we can effectively build your businesses, through some of the case studies, some of the, sessions, successful briefs that we've handled in almost 10 years as an agency. All right, I have a list to guide me into this particular session. So it's pretty much, again, like I mentioned, it's 30 minutes daily, at least for the next 1 month. It's on my schedule, check-in session to see how this goes. So what we pretty much are going to do with Build with Pandora is take you through a journey, all right, in terms of marketing. Marketing is such a vast field, but one hiccup that we see people will actually do with marketing, one faux pas, is them using it in one very segmented area, one small segmented area. And marketing can be so much, really, and it can be quite vast. And marketing does not necessarily have to be expensive to be efficient and to be effective. All right, it's all about strategy. How effectively are you looking to think outside the box to still achieve, the results that you're looking to achieve? So yeah, it's pretty much this session will be how to build lasting businesses for businesses in Nigeria, businesses looking to come into the African continent, because we've had quite a number of those as well. So we'll be chit chatting about it, and this is going to be posted across our social media platforms. So I've mentioned that we've existed in passing for almost 10 years. Um, and we've done this successfully by running briefs for clients. When I say briefs, I'm talking about when clients come to us and they ask us to to carry out a particular task for them. It can be a campaign, it can be strategy document development, it can be budget development, it can be go to market, it can be whatever it is, as long as it's within the framework of marketing. So that's pretty much what we are looking at. All right. So as to the topics that we're going to be touching on, we're going to be starting off with, getting marketing right. Because, like I mentioned earlier, you can do marketing efficiently and effectively, and it does not have to cost too much. Okay. And also, we're going to be touching on topics of building an awareness versus conversion. All right. And stay tuned. We're also going to be picking up case studies of different sectors as well as different industries that we've actually touched on over the years. So everything we're going to be touching on really is going to be coming from something we've done. So it's not theory, it's practice. It's practice. And hopefully something that we can easily release some details to a private group of people within a very short time. So maybe that will be a different category of people that we're releasing this to over the next couple of months. Another is building a strong digital presence. We all know that this is the digital age. What your digital footprint says about your brand, says about yourself, because we will be talking about perception building as well. It matters. It matters a whole lot. And also getting and cultivating leads. Okay, getting and cultivating leads. Also on hiring agencies, what you should look out for, what you should actually have as your back end, meaning what you have already existing before you go ahead and hire an agency. Because we all know that some agencies can be expensive. It's related, really. But it's very important that for the business relationship to be efficient and effective, it has to be mutually beneficial, and it cannot just be on one side, either of the agency or another side, either of the client's end. So we're going to be talking about things of that nature. So some of these topics are what we're going to be touching on, and I guess we can get started with the first topic in terms of starting marketing right. Um, One thing that people should know of, especially business owners, is marketing is very important. While building a business model, while building a business case study, marketing is at the core of it. There is no investor that will invest, any serious investor that wants to invest in a business, that would not ask about what your go to market plan is. Now, what is a go to market plan? A go to market plan is pretty much a plan, a framework that details how you're looking to successfully enter a market, dominate a market, and pretty much, there is a consistency in which you're looking to consistently, dominate and make money from that particular class of audience. So like I mentioned earlier, marketing is showing business owners like that, and that's a big no. It should not be a second thought. Marketing should actually be one of the first thoughts you're having when you're starting a business. So starting a business, most people will come up with, okay, so I have an idea. All right, so I have this wonderful idea to maybe start a jewelry business. So yes, they go into the research of where they can get the jewelries from. If they are particular on quality, maybe luxury items, they're looking at the countries, how they can actually ship it in, and so on and so forth. Then they're looking at a logo afterwards. This is the typical thinking of a business person. They're looking at, okay, so what quick logo can I do? They don't look at the storyline. They don't look at, okay, so in terms of what manpower can I hire in terms of getting my marketing started? Because while you have an idea for marketing, right, and while you're looking to while you're looking to begin brand development, those are usually areas where you need to start thinking about your marketing into two, right? Because a logo is a logo. It's just it can either be a symbol or a lettered logo, which means nothing to most people, or it can actually be an identity that stands your brand apart from every other person. And again, all that has to do with how you approach marketing. It's very, very important. So, as mentioned earlier, so starting marketing right, you have to, number one, aside from your you getting the idea of starting a marketing, or rather starting a business, you also have to look at the entire element. What's that thing that would make up your entire persona as a brand, right? Why should people care? Why are you doing it? As they say, the whys. So you really have to think about it, pen it down, because that would be very pivotal in how you actually launch, in terms of what your audience segments, what audience are you looking at, what locations, what regions are you looking to serve. Because also you're going to need this information when you run your advertising. All right. You're also looking at in terms of colors. These are very, very, people don't know this. Again, that's why we are the experts, and that's why you should come to us. But it's very important. What sort of colors? All right. Should your color be very vibrant? Should your color be more subtle? Should your color be more, black and white? Should it be more playful? Different elements of this has to be considered when you actually building, starting your marketing right. Aside from that, you also want to look at what's your brand promise. This is something that we do not think about at all within this part, the brand promise element of things. But your promise is very important. Why? Because your brand promise is why your customers would always stay with your brand. They would always want to stay with your brand. Now, a case in point is Pandora, which is the agency that I currently run. Pandora's brand promise is very simple. Where measurable marketing drives creativity, we measure along whatever it is that we actually do. We measure in terms of marketing framework. We don't just get into marketing with the aim of spending money. We get into marketing. We execute for our clients based upon the fact that we want to ensure that, is this measurable? Can we learn something from this? And what's the return on investment? Very important. And we've seen that this is very pivotal to a brand that's a business. consistently, not having to spend so much if they don't want to over time. So it's the very, very heavy. Please let me know if you can hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me. All right. Okay, so still on the topic, starting marketing, right? Aside from your brand promise, what else do you want to look at? You want to look at in terms of who your audience are, and that's because there are a lot of marketing channels out there that you can easily use. But are they efficient? Are they effective to ensure that you get your return on investments for them, or are you doing what every other person is doing? So having your audience segmented in terms of creating that persona for each of your audience would easily give you information as to they always, link to us. Where do you find them the most? We see that a lot of younger generations actually would go to a short video content platform, such as you have YouTube, you have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have Snapchat, platforms of that nature, short form video content platforms. That's where you find a lot more younger generation people. So you want, again, so for you to know where to actually target in terms of effectively carrying out your marketing campaign, you need to know who your audience is. It's as simple as that. And also very important is also, how do you ensure that you use the existing information of your customers over and over and over again towards the betterment of your business. So that's very, very, that's also another important element rather of starting marketing, right? How do you cultivate the database of people that are already purchasing from you? All right, how do you cultivate their databases? What do you do with them? All right, so that's something that we'll also maybe go in depth into much later during the awareness and conversion stage of this chat. So aside from that, we also want to look at, all right, so we've addressed the audience, we've addressed, where they possibly will be found. We also have to look at storytelling. I know it's like a buzzword now, everybody's saying storytelling, but storytelling has always existed since time immemorial. I was having a little banter with one of my very good friends yesterday, and we were touching on a certain financial company that has a very unique name based in Nigeria. And she brought up the name that, but Apple is there, Apple call themselves Apple, but Apple is a fruit. Meanwhile, the other brand name was more of like a grocery store, but they actually do financial services. So we are talking about that in the context of brand positioning. How do you position your brand? How do you tell the story of your brand? Apple could successfully convince people that Apple was Apple as a technology company and not necessarily a fruit first. Because when you think about when someone is talking about Apple in a context or maybe a general context now, you're thinking of maybe an Apple phone, an Apple Watch, an Apple, laptop, things of that nature, and not necessarily a fruit, right? And what they've been able to do is they've been able to successfully tell the story of the brand over the years. Over the years, to the extent that it actually sounds fantastic. Like you see it, and it's an aspirational brand for those that cannot afford it yet. All right, and when things are aspirational as such, it's more emotive. People are drawn to it. So even if you cannot afford it, you're still drawn to the beauty of it or the aspirational aspect that, okay, so one day I would like to own this and possibly maybe own this and own this and own this in terms of their gadget range, right? So it's very important when telling stories, you want to hit the nail on the head, you want to be witty. Not every time, obviously, you have to look at the sector that you and the also obviously the audience that you serve. So you want to look at wittiness sometimes if it applies. You also want to look at areas in which you can also the emotive aspect of things, the emotional aspect of things. One of the earliest Apple ads I saw that actually captivated my attention was obviously when Steve Jobs was around. I think it was just reinstated as the CEO of Apple back then, and that was I'm trying to remember the name of the ad. Uh, the Think Different campaign. So the Think Different campaign was such a fascinating campaign of that age because it was just unique. It captured a lot of the emotive aspects of human beings. And that's why I usually would say that you cannot separate psychology from marketing. They're actually intent, like they are literally so close to each other. All right. And that's because for people to take actions you want them to take, and not just take it as one off, you want them to take it consistently, you have to think like them. All right, think like a customers is a word that quite a number of my colleagues hear me speak a lot about. Think like a customers, right? You're sending out that newsletter. Why should they open it? Why should they care to open it? All right. What is the title captivating enough? It is something that would attract their attention and retain their attention. I also send them back to maybe possibly newsletters they've received in the past. What drew your attention to that newsletter? Why did you save it to read it over the weekend? As opposed to marking it as red, things of that nature. So when starting marketing, right, you also want to look at in terms of leveraging partnerships. Very important. One aspect that works a lot and it's for free is to write. Is to write. Leverage. If you have a blog, write a blog. You write on a blog. If you don't have a blog on a website, you can easily use any of the free writing tools, writing platforms. LinkedIn is there, and LinkedIn is actually, they keep improving on that particular aspect of their platform in terms of how you can write and where you can write, and also in terms of with this other platform, Medium and WordPress, you can leverage those towards the success of your brand. Again, because you want to put out content. Content is why Google is Google, to be honest. It would not be Google any other way than because of content. Content in different formats, video formats, text formats, written format, right? So it's very important that we also look at that in terms of where when we are starting marketing, right? And I would actually want to end build this Pandora now by highlighting certain pivotal topics within this that most will shy away from. We don't like measuring things, is what I have noticed. In fact, I would say about less than 1% of our clients that come on board, when we ask them for previous reports of the work that they've done, they hardly have anything to show. And that's because measurement was not a critical part of their marketing, activities, and it has to be. There is no way you would actually know if you're doing something right except you measure it, right? So measurement is very key, and it's all about measuring either on a monthly basis or a weekly basis. I would always go for weekly basis because that way you can easily pivot or you can easily amend something that you started the previous week. All right, so it's very important we think about these things and measurement based off on platforms that you currently use. So it's saying that you hire a salesperson as a business owner, right? You hire a salesperson, you give them the salesperson KPI on a monthly basis. This is the KPI you should meet on a monthly basis. By the end of that month, you do not ask the person if okay, so how many clients did you bring on board? How many clients are you currently speaking to? We all know that some clients will not convert immediately, but how many clients? What is showing? What shows that you're actually actively carrying out what you should, at that particular point in time? How are you measuring it? How are you measuring it? So that's also something that we will be touching on as part of our topics within Build with Pandora. So I hope this session, as short as it may be, I hope that it's been one that's been impactful and one that you'd like to join tomorrow as well, because I'll be on here to talk about another topic within the Build with Pandora session. So thank you so much for your time. I remain Kehinde Ruth Onaoga. You can find Pandora at pandoraAgency.co. You can Google us, Pandora Agency. We're literally across the World Wide Web, and reach out to us if you have questions, and if you have an opportunity that you'd like us to take a look at. All right, thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.